So up until this point, we have learned about the probability concepts using the experimental approach, right? Well, in this case, our focus is going to be on theoretical approach. How is it different from experimental methods? Well, the answer lies in the word itself, in experimental approach. What do? You actually run an experiment, right? And then you get your required or the favorable outcomes out of the space of all possible outcomes, correct? And in theoretical approach, we don't actually run an experiment because of time and money constraints or whatever you can call it. In theoretical approach, what we do is we calculate what could be my entire space of outcomes using the methods or using some advanced techniques, and then we can calculate our number of the favorable outcomes. And once you have those two numbers, you can easily get to your probability, right? Just by simply dividing favorable versus total number of outcomes. And along with that, we will also try to learn about these fundamental building blocks. What is experiment? What is dependent versus independent events? And also what is a compound event, okay? So let's take a look at our very first example to best understand the theoretical methods. So here is our very first task. It is about calculating the probability of a sum total of 7 when we roll or toss two dice together. Okay. So what exactly is your experiment? The experiment is simply tossing two dice together. That is your experiment. Okay. And what is your desired outcome? That I want to calculate a sum total of 7 when I roll two dice together. Okay. So now you know your experiment and you also know your desired space of outcomes, correct? So let's do this. Let's draw a diagram. It is called a matrix structure. It is very useful when there are only two events happening at the same time. Okay, so here is my die 1. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because these are all the 6 possible outcomes that could happen when you roll a die, right? And along the vertical axis, I will have my second die, meaning this is the space of all possible outcomes 1 through 6 that will happen when you roll your second die. So now you have a very nice matrix in which there are 6 possible outcomes along the horizontal axis and 6 possible outcomes on the vertical axis. Well, tell me this. This is your die 2 and this is your die 1. What do you think about these two dice when you roll them together? Do you really think that outcome of one could really influence the outcome of the second die? Definitely not, because these two are very independent of each other. When two events do not influence the outcome of each other, they will be called independent events. Okay? Now let's get to our desired outcome. We want that a sum total of 7. And in how many ways you could get that? Well, if first die results in a 1 and second die results in a 6, only then you could get a sum total of 7, right? So that's one possible outcome. And likewise, if first die results in a 2, then the only possible way I could get a 7 is if the second die results in a 5. So that would be my next possible combination. And if first die results in a 3, then the only way I could get a 7 is if second results in a 4. And just like that, you will get a combination of two dice. That how do you get to a total of 7? Well, if you think about this, there are 6 possible ways to get a sum total of 7. So I will say that my desired outcomes, the number of outcomes actually is 6 only. Now let's get to the slightly complicated part. What is my total number of outcomes? Well, here is why the understanding of dependent and independent events is very useful. You see, you have two dice, correct? The die 1 could result in one of these possible outcomes. So there are 6 possible ways. You could get a 1 or 2 or 3, 4, 5 or 6. Likewise, there are 6 possible ways for the second die, correct? So you simply multiply all possible outcomes from each die, and that is your total number of all possible outcomes. The only other method that you want to make sure is that this is your right number is you list down all possible combinations. So for example, I'll say my die 1 results in 1, and second also results in 1. That's 1. Second could be your die 1 is 1 and second is 2. Then you have 1 and 3. Then you have 1 and 4. Then you have 1 and 5. Then you have 1 and 6. So you see, there are 6 possible combinations if your die 1 results in a 1, right? But if you were to adopt this method, it will take you forever to get to your count of total number of all possible outcomes. Rather, we take is a simple approach in which we simply multiply the space of all possible outcomes of 2 events and then you get to your required number. Now, all you need to do is put that number 36 in the denominator and this is your required probability, which is 1 by 6. So that is the probability of your desired events. Well, the key thing that you have learned in this exercise that you learned about what is an experiment or a trial, what are dependent versus independent events, and how it helps you in computing the total space of all possible outcomes. And then, of course, what are compound events. Even though in this case we were having 2 different events happening at the same time, we call them as compound events, but they are independent. So that's one. Now let's take a look at another example in which we'll talk a little bit more about how do you handle a situation in which you have to really talk about the dependency between events. Okay, so let's go take a look at that. So consider the situation for Alan. He has 5 marbles in a box, 2 green and 3 yellow, right? Alan draws 1 marble and then he draws another marble. What is the probability of getting yellow marbles in 2 draws? Okay, so these 2 events are happening in a sequential way, right? So to best understand this problem, let's draw a very simple diagram. Let's say this is my box, okay? And this box contains 2 green and 3 yellow. So as you go forward with your first draw, what happens? You could get a green or a yellow. These are the only 2 possible outcomes. So what is the probability that he will get a green in this case? Well, you think about this. There are 2 green marbles. So the max number of ways you could get a green is 2. And there are 5 total. So the max number of ways you could get any marble is 5. So the probability of getting a green is 2 over 5. And likewise, probability of getting a yellow is 3 over 5. So we are done with first draw. Now let's proceed on to our second draw. And here it gets a little interesting. You see, you already have picked your first marble. What happens if you pick a green? What remains inside the box is what? You are left with 1 green and 3 yellow, right? Now if you pick a marble, what happens? You could get either a green or a yellow, just like in the first draw. But the probability of getting a green in this case is what? See, you are left with only 1 green in the box, correct? So the probability of getting a green is 1 over 4 because there are 4 total. And just like that, the probability of getting a yellow is 3 over 4 because there are 3 yellow and 4 total, right? So you are done with your second draw in case you picked your green marble in the first draw, right? But at this moment, you don't know that what you have picked in your first draw because you haven't started with your experiment. You still need to compute all the possible cases, right? That is why it is called a theoretical approach because we are trying to calculate all possible outcomes. So if you had picked your yellow in first draw, what remains inside the box after that? It will be 2 green and 2 yellow because 1 yellow has already been picked. And then you go for your second draw. Now what happens? You could get a green or a yellow because you are still picking only 1 marble. And in how many ways you could get a green? You could get a green in 2 ways out of 4 total. So the probability of getting a green is 2 over 4. And the probability of getting a yellow is also 2 over 4. So now let's get back to our desired event. The desired event is probability of getting yellow marbles in 2 draws. And we already have established a path for that. See, this is my probability of getting a yellow in first draw, and then if you follow this path, you will get your probability of getting a yellow in the second draw. Because you have both of these probabilities, you will then simply multiply, and this is your probability of desired outcome, which is multiple of 3 over 5 times 2 over 4, and that will be 3 over 10. Okay, that's your required answer. This is a very classical tree diagram structure in which we expand on each outcome and we keep expanding in this sequential manner. If there would have been third row, we would have considered what are the possible scenarios for each one of those outcomes after the second row. So we discussed about a matrix structure, which is more useful when you have two events and if they are independent. We discussed about a tree diagram kind of a structure, which is useful when you have a sequential process in place in your calculation of the probabilities. With that, we take a pause here and then you can proceed on to quiz and exam modules.